Okay, greetings from sunny Switzerland, and welcome to today's Innovation Leadership series from zero to breakthrough in 8 weeks. We are going to talk about innovation strategy, how to build one, and most important, how to get to breakthrough innovation in 8 weeks. I hope that I have intrigued you with this introduction, and I'm sure you'll get more and more curious about the BlueCallom AI Fusion model when you hear directly from our speakers. I would like to introduce myself first. I am Tanya, your host today. And before we officially started with this session, I just want to mention a few items so all of you know how to participate at today's event. Firstly, I would just like to mention that a recorded version of this webinar will be available, as well as the presentation deck. Secondly, you may send in your questions at any time during the presentation. We will collect these and address them during the Q&A session at the end of the presentation. So please use chat Q&A box. Feel free to share all your inputs, thoughts, and feedback. Now it's time to introduce our guests today, the speakers who are going to share the details about the BlueCallom concept innovation. Axel Schulze, he's the first speaker and also very known name by our audience by now, I believe so. He's the CEO of BlueCallom and the chairman of the World Innovations Forum. He started his career at Rockwell International, where he was working on innovative digital products used by NASA in the space shuttle. Axel also founded two highly innovative multi-billion-dollar companies in Europe and in the United States. With founding BlueCallom, Axel decided to help agile enterprises to become genuinely innovative. Our second speaker today is Christian B., who joined BlueCallom last year as an advisory board member, and he has been a participant of the Innovation Thought Leader Roundtable since day one. Christian is experienced innovation manager in the pharma industry and expert when it comes to innovation management processes. He's shaping the culture of innovation by empowering corporate innovation teams to think out of the box. His focus of turning human customer needs into solutions resulted in the incorporation of 3 companies in the medical and food space. Welcome both, and please tell us how to get to breakthrough innovation in 8 weeks.
Thank you, Dan.
Welcome.
I hope my mic is now unmuted. Okay, so like everything else, it starts with a strategy. And what I want to share real quick is about how to build a strategy for an enterprise or a larger corporation in the context of innovation, because there's a corporate strategy and people believe in strategy, so they know how to work it. But there's a couple tricks about doing this with innovation within an organization. So first of all, I would like to tell you as a potential innovation manager, it's about, and this is the goal, turning an extraordinary solution into reality. And this is mostly in corporates not that easy, because there are not these visionary entrepreneurs who think about, terraforming Mars and things like that. And so still the CEO wants something that radically changes the corporation. However, most of the CEOs don't really talk about because they don't have the vision yet. And this is where the innovation teams come in. The innovation teams actually need that mindset almost like a CEO. And this is not playing small and, let's try a little bit of a startup and then we try a little bit of something and then we go step by step. No, you need to actually create a corporate unicorn. A unicorn is a company that has $1 billion or euro valuation and becomes a market leader sooner or later from that already giant position of a billion-dollar company. And so in a corporation, let's assume you work for a car manufacturer and you're doing like 50 billion in revenue. And if you come with an innovation saying, okay, this could be 50 million, this would be amazing. Well, for you, it would be amazing. But for the CEO of the 50 million in a 50 billion company, that is, I mean, 0.1% of the revenue. It wouldn't even show up on the annual report. It wouldn't even show up into any major report. And that discrepancy is something that innovation teams need to understand. That these tiny little increments on the business side is not strategic, even though it's important and it's a lot of money. And if you can do it for yourself, I mean, you would probably go to your knees and do all kinds of things to make it happen. So the first understanding is that, you know, the CEO needs something major that turns into reality. Then you are the one who actually built that reality with your team, and you can, because 1,600 unicorns did. And now we're trying to help enterprises to do it internally. And the vision, however, would be not just one, but after a couple of years, there needs to be a restart, a reinvention of the company. And this reinvention is yet another innovation. And if you're having multiple disciplines and multiple organizations, that would happen multiple times. And so let me show you a little bit of the framework of a strategy, and we call it innovation meta strategy. And this is achieving repeatability, manageability, and predictability. Funny enough, it doesn't even mention the innovation. But that's one of the tricky things that I might mention in the beginning. If you're in a pharmaceutical company, in a bank, in any type of enterprise, you will want to build a company as a CEO, or you as the one who may probably in 10 years possibly become the CEO because of your work. Then you want to build a company that is innovative, agile. It is flexible, it's dynamic, it works with the market on the very edge of the market development. This is what these top-notch companies are actually doing. And in the past, probably 25 to 50 years, there's only one company, that has actually made it from a billion-dollar company into a billion-dollar innovative company. And that company is NVIDIA. They have reached the $1 trillion barrier, so to speak, just I think a week or two ago. And they were continuously innovating. And it's the only company, and with more than 30 years old or so, who actually managed that goal. But that's the goal that we all basically want. Most of the CEOs want. And here's a picture of that meta strategy, which again has nothing in it that says this is the innovation we want to do. But it actually says we want to become an innovative company that continuously innovates, always on the edge, always on the forefront. And another company that has been on this space, lost a little bit of traction in the last 25 years, but probably will come back as IBM. So there are a few. And the key is, what is it what these few did, what others, all the thousands of others didn't? I mean, think about it. We have about 20,000 large enterprises. We have 350,000 companies that are more than 250 employees. All of them will want to be on their relative edge for what they're doing in their market, in their industry, with their products and their services. So we want to have a goal and a mission. That's, again, independent of what the innovation is, but the goal and the mission is becoming innovative, continuously innovative. Then there's an innovation direction. Where should we go? And here starts the problem that exists today in all large corporations. There is no direction. think about things, be open, think of anything you like, da 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 da. But when it comes to cash into this innovation project, and these are probably millions and millions, then the CFO puts a hat on it and says, hey, no, we won't invest in this. We won't invest in this. We won't invest in this. And then the presentations, people go home and are very depressed. The question about leadership. Who will lead the innovation that should bring basically $1 billion and more incremental revenue? And what are the strategic constraints? I mean, we have seen many corporates who had no constraints and they were proud of it, but they also realized because of the non-constrained innovation strategy, if we even can call it as such, the innovation team went in all kinds of directions. And that is difficult for the company to actually make it, we'll invest 100 million or even $1 billion in this innovation. And what are we doing? They're a car company, they're a steel company, they're a pharmaceutical company, they're a bank, they're an airline and so forth. So they will want to stay in their realm, and they should, because they invested years and years and years, decades of time and resources, have a gigantic group of customers, which no startup even can dream of. They have all that, so they should stay within their realm, unless this area is going to die completely. So then look at the market involvement, meaning how do we address customers as a corporate innovation team, where we talk about innovation that is not even said anything in the annual report, or the CEO didn't even talk about. That is a problem, because in a public company, you cannot say we're working on this type of innovation if not all the investors are involved and understand. So there are a couple of constraints on the market side. And this means the CEO, CFO, somebody from the C-level needs to make a clear decision how you're going to do that. And there's simple ways. Well, an NDA. That's all it takes. But you have to think about it. Then economics in the innovation space is interesting. In the beginning, people think it will be hundreds of millions. No, it's peanuts. I mean, you have 5 people or 10 people who start an innovation, and this is all it takes. Now, in 2 years, it will be different because this will grow. And in 5 years, you will have probably 1,000 employees in that division. And, God help you that you not get integrated back into the original company with all their mega constraints and all the rules and regulations and all their ways of doing things, because we always did. No, you should stay separate. And then there's the innovation management. I mean, the question is the talents. I mean, this is another big challenge, because HR departments, obviously they want to be unbiased. So it doesn't matter whether you're male or female, how you look and all these kind of things. But their focus is on skills. What can you do? What have you proven to be very good at? What have you learned? What is your university degree if you have one, and so on? On the innovation management side, it's very different. Your skills, I mean, they're nice to have, and they're good. And this is all kind of all right. But what innovation teams really need to bring to the party is they need to be curious. They want to be people, okay, what is this? And how does it work? And who did it this way? And who did it that way? Could we do it in a different way? So curiosity, being bold and encouraged. Well, this should be wrong. I mean, we can do very, very better today with different tools and mechanisms. And so in no time, your talents will be very different than just skills. And innovation organization, we will hear a little bit later also from Christian. And finally, the manageability, KPI, and reports. I mean, there's no organization in any operation that can spend hundreds of millions down the road in innovation or anything else and have no reporting. This doesn't work. Now, innovation teams don't want reports. They don't want all the administration. Of course, nobody wants that. And that's probably one of the beauty that we achieved, is that we do all the KPIs and reporting and so on with an AI system. The data come automatically. We pull it back from the system. Nobody has to do a report. That's one of the nice little things. But that's about the strategy. And if you have no backing from your CEO yet, what you can do is take your annual report, your report that is published to your shareholders, and look what's going on. Look what's, you're curious. Look what they want. Look what you think, if you would be a CEO, where this company should go, and make it up yourself. And that would be in the beginning totally fine. Will be not accurate. Will be not the one that you will use down the road, but for now it would be good. Okay. And with this, we come to a framework that Christian will talk a little bit about.
Perfect. Thank you, Axel. Did you hand over?
Did.
Yes, perfect. So the BlueCallom Innovation Framework. We are claiming here the most comprehensive innovation compendium ever written. And we did not do that to write a big document that serves the purpose being the largest ever written. I mean, that's not our intention. Our intention is really to put you on the track for success. And I think Axel already beautifully alluded to the point that the strategy is at the core. And that strategy has to put you in the position to drive a sustainable competitive advantage. And how are we going to do that? We divided our framework into 5 key principles. One is a strategy piece you have heard about. We will talk about the drivers, the method. We will show you really while I present parts of the tool later on, and then the organizational part in connection with the innovation principles. So what has changed in today's environment is really that strategy needs to move as fast as the business environment around us is doing. And you all are aware of the digital transformation. Most recently, we talk about the inclusion of AI, and that also had an impact on us. I mean, we had that on our radar, but we had to implement. And we are today, some months into the big discussions around AI, we are in the position already to do that because it was part of our thinking that will need to be embedded in the future. And that was due to our strategy and organizational setting. And the key thing about the organization is really people and leadership. And it's very interesting. There's a lady, Rita McGrath, I'm not sure who has heard of her, but she's one of the top 50 strategy thinkers. And she is quoted that 20 to 40% of the time of a CEO should be dedicated to innovation. And let's really look into our companies we're working for or we are leading ourselves. How much time do we really spend on that? And I think that's due to the fact that the focus is on managing today's business and not the growth of the future. What do I need to do to really enable that in the organization? I have my strategy in place. I have to empower the team and I have to select the team. So the team has to be there. And I think also with our support, we can help you to set up the most fit team for the job when it comes to identifying and executing innovation. And these are actually the 2 next steps in the organization piece. You have to create an innovation environment. You have to form your team. You have to identify the opportunities, and then you have to go into the solutioning space. And third, and I think that's where, again, many companies struggle, especially if the innovation piece is embedded in the existing structure, to seamlessly, radically execute on that, scale to bring the execution and the innovation to the market. So very important focus on that piece. And all of that is supported by our innovation principles. Axel already mentioned metrics. When you go to your leadership and you give them a measure of success potential, they will be completely looking at innovation from a different angle. If you have a likelihood to succeed nailed down based on data we have gathered through the years in our platform, a game changer in your communication. And then, of course, when you talk about the drivers, it's the customer that needs to be served best, or we have to identify what the customer doesn't know today. And there we build our competitive advantage around. How do we do that? We do that in a profitable way. Of course, we want to earn money at the end of the day. And that, of course, is all built on strong leadership skills. And I think the easiest way to really understand how that framework comes to place when we go through the next steps of the presentation. And Axel, I think it's a good moment for you to take us to the next.
Mute.
We can see you.
Okay, so we have developed a innovation method that is nothing really new, but all its pieces are actually structured in a way that was the learning A, from our own business, B, from business from others, and C, from startups we were working with. So the method is, I would say, in its entirety new, but all the bits and pieces are the success factors of many companies from the last almost 20 years. And so we realized when we want to do innovation per se, I mean, genuine innovation or breakthrough innovation or disruptive innovation, whatever term you want to use, anything but an improvement, we need to start way before ideation. Because when we start with, oh, let's have an idea, then you still don't know whether the idea is actually a good idea or not, whether the idea has a problem that needs to be solved behind it, whether the idea will even work. So starting with ideas is actually bad. So we need to start before ideation, and we need to start with, like Christian already mentioned, with a market. I mean, if we build something that the market really needs and dreams of, then we cannot fail. This is an interesting understanding. Now, many people say, hey, wait a minute. I mean, Bill Gates, he didn't ask the companies what they want, and they said, we want a Windows operating system, and therefore we build it. Mercedes said, if I would ask my customers, they would have said, I should build an automatic feeding machine for horses so that they can run faster and they can run faster from the feeding point of view. And if we would have asked Steve Jobs to do something, they wouldn't have said build a digital phone. They would probably have said all kinds of other things. Now, if I go back to my own businesses, so the first was Computer 2000, or take Blue Rolls, for instance. I mean, people said, can you build a lead distribution system? Because we need a better distribute leads. Okay, I took this as a problem, but I didn't build a lead distribution system. Actually, I built an entirely different mechanism that actually allowed sales users to pull leads from a database whenever they want it, not when I want to push it out, and not what I want to say who should get it. And so everybody had a problem identified and then solved it one way or the other. And you can go through any of the major companies. Doesn't matter whether it was Intel, Microsoft, whether it's Oracle, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Google. They solved a specific problem in a very different way. Google didn't get money because they said, the investor said, okay, we have 43, and I remember that number very well, 43 search engines. We don't need a 44th, and therefore no more money for yet another search engine. And there was one guy who said, this thing is good. This thing is very different. People didn't understand, so I invest. And I was the co-founder of Sun Microsystems, and he became a billionaire because of the investment of 100,000 into Google. So start before ideation. Think of the problem which is out there, and then do the entire journey and think through anything and everything until you are actually successful in the market. So in this method, we call it deep innovation design because it goes deep in every aspect. And this is one of the biggest problems that we have had in the past, that none of the methods, anyone out there ever did get as deep as possible, because we have the natural tendency to make it as easy as possible, as simple as possible, and not complicated. But there are things that you cannot do in that model. I mean, on my wall across my desk, which you can't see, there's a picture from NASA that actually shows all the aspects of the travel to the moon and back. And this was one of the most complex projects ever done in history of mankind, still today, by the way. It was a 7,000-page strategy book. And this was just the strategy, it wasn't the execution. And there are things that are simply complex. And so we said, you know what? I mean, I have been, sort of confronted with that strategy way back in time. And I thought, okay, innovation, why is it that only a couple startups made it to the top? None of the none of the corporations did. I mean, like I said earlier, 1 out of 20,000 of the Fortune 20,000 actually made that step, continuously innovating. And the other 19,999 didn't. We have 350,000, I repeat the number, companies, 250 employees and more. None of them had actually achieved the breakthrough innovation. They were startups. 1,600 unicorns we have today. So the question was, what is the difference? And we said we need an innovation model that goes deep in every aspect. So innovation opportunity discovery, that's the first step. We want to identify what is the innovation opportunity for the company we live in, and not for another one, and not for something we can do on the side, and not for something that may turn this company into a different company. No, for that company. And then we do needs and dreams. Well, the needs is the obvious one. We ask people, what do you want? But like I said earlier, if we would build what they just want, that would probably not becoming a disruptive innovation, but there is something else. Out of about 1,000 customers, you will find maybe 10, so this is a very small number, who have dreams, I mean, visions. They are on the forefront of thinking. They said, no, in the next 20 years, this will look entirely different. I believe this, whatever it is, would be the future. And if you find 10 of those and understand the problem and have a very cool innovation team with creativity, well communication, clairvoyance, they're courageous, they are curious, these attributes would make out of these inputs in the ideation process, which is the next one, an amazing innovation. And the innovation design process or the neuro-ideation process is not a brainstorming. This is a 4 weeks continuously thinking about what could make the best possible solution. So 60 minutes versus 4 weeks, this is deep. And you can say, well, 60 minutes is long enough. I'm exhausted after 60 minutes. Of course you are. The brain can't produce more. So you need to do different steps in between. And then you need to do new stimuli. And if you do this for 4 weeks, and we have proven this, we have done this over and over and over, both with startups and later on now in the corporate world. So then you have another one where you put it all together and you build your concept, and then you go through idea validation. You haven't even built the prototype yet. You validate the ideation or the idea or the concept with a PowerPoint deck. Now people say, no, you can't do this, you have to show it. No, you don't. Don't underestimate your customers. They're not stupid, they're intelligent people. And if you're intelligent enough to put it in the right form, you haven't spent $1 other than your own salary, so to speak. And with that, you go to the innovation, to the CFO for innovation financing. And now you have an opportunity, you create an idea, you put it all together, you validate it in the market. And now why you shouldn't get funding if this all was good. And the reason is almost negligible. I mean, you should get this funding. But it's in the context of the strategy and in the context of how we do it. And then when you get funding, you build it, then you go into the market. And then there's something else, exponential growth. The second biggest mistake people do is say, okay, we get gradually in the market. Well, we try it out, we have time, blah, 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 blah. Now, first of all, you don't have time and you could not go gradually because people think this never worked out. But if you have 1% per day growth, which is basically 30% a month, or it's 120% a year, so you more than double in the year over year over year of the first 5 to 6 years, and then you have the same rate like the good startups, and people take you serious, and then you go global. And this entire thing was originally a linear process. But we also understood that linear in innovation doesn't work. And this is why most innovation models don't work. Because this is a lateral process. We do things back and forth. We need to think about, when we have an idea here, would that be scaling over here? Does this hold for exponential growth? Is that actually what we get into the market with? Would we get funding for it? And this back and forth is a constant process. And we had, stickers and papers, walls and walls and walls. And so we said, no, we need to build a technology for keeping us, aware of all these potential faults or potential, ideas or potential challenges. And so all together, we built basically a deep innovation design model as a model that helps you go through the entire process, maybe 2 or 3, 4 years, probably the longest project management tool available. And it is at the same time, as you now understand, how you can see the strategy. Okay, we start here. We want to get here. We want to get to a continuum. That means we have an innovation that scaled in the global market, and now we need to start from all over again. And that is basically the short form of deep innovation design. And that model is different than anything that you have. And if you say, no, we are not changing our strategy, fully understood, then you will do what you did. But most likely you will want it at one point because it didn't need to breakthrough innovation. Okay, thank you. I give it back to Christian.
Perfect. Thank you, Axel. And I think you would fully agree if I would say innovation can be complex. I think as a serial successful entrepreneur, you have went through the many phases of innovation and you learned it sometimes also the hard way. And I think that's also the reason why we believe here with the framework, with the tool and everything we're offering, we are this new Google search in the innovation space. You have heard about other tools out there, but there is a tool, and I have to say, and I'm going to show you in a minute, when I was using it for the first time, it took me by storm. It's really seeing is believing. So with building this cliffhanger here, I just want to prepare you for where we're going now. People, neuroscience, and AI fusion, how to bring that together. And I think when you follow the media and everything, there's a lot of anxiety, excitement, nervousness, where this will lead. And we strongly believe when you bring the 3 best things in that context together, your team's capabilities, your strategy, your company purpose, and our platform where we help you to accelerate the innovation process, make it predictable, and trigger your brain to connect all of that, that's going to drive customer value as you have not seen before. So I think the first step is always considered to be the hardest. And with that insight, we said we are going to make the first step as easy as possible for you. What you're seeing here is BlueCallom.ai. That's your landing page. And some people might say, I think I have seen a similar web page before. And I think the simplicity is the beauty of that. And how do you go about it? So you have the link, you enter the home page, and you're asked to what problem do you want to solve today? And in the first moment, it will take some time for you to consider, okay, what problem it is and what is the merit to really solve that problem. And that's already the first step where we help you with a connected AI to validate. So if you enter here, for example, I believe there's too much plastic in our cosmetics industry. I am looking for an opportunity to make that better. You push here the button, get advice, and the system will start in the background to evaluate the idea. Not the idea, the problem you stated. And with that, you will get a rating if the software, if our team who produced the software is believing that is an excellent problem to solve based on the information we're pulling, if it's an important problem to solve, or if it's maybe something we should rethink our problem statement to move forward. But you can imagine sustainability, plastic waste, waste of resources, waste in the oceans is a relevant problem. So that's what I did when I used the tool for the first time. And everything you entered in the question and the answers that were provided by the tool will be already built here on your landing page of the first journey you are creating. And as you are the journey manager, you have the opportunity to make some changes here. You can do a first rough assessment where you see the potential of the idea, how much budget you believe you have, and always remember, as you work closely with the strategy of your company and your CEO, you might have some insights here already, but maybe these are talking points then also with your leadership to reinforce the necessity to have that prepared. Because as you go on the journey, you want to work seamless and straight to the point to execute. And with that, you have your first part of the tool under control. And in the light version, you will see that 2 episodes are made available for you. The needs and dreams, Axel already briefly touched it. We will go in a little bit more depth later on. And the neuro-ideation part, where we guide you with a set of tools through the principles of innovation to lead you to success. The other elements at this moment are not available in the light version. Of course, you can imagine there will be some intersections where we would like to communicate with you, understand how you want to move forward, and of course, make the tool then available in the best fit for you and your company. So let's go into the needs and dreams analysis. And this is really now the moment where you start seeing how the best of human capabilities is merged and mingled with the best of our technology. When you land here in the needs and dreams analysis, you can see very clearly there's a set of buttons, choices to move forward on the top bar. You always can go back to your oversight of the episodes you have launched, the multiple journeys. What you're seeing here is a canvas, and I think you know the canvas terminology also from other tools. A very helpful setting to stay on track and to execute all relevant elements of the episode. And we talked about reporting, we talked about getting data and statistics. All these things you can trigger from here. You can download reports as you are filling in the data. And when you do the needs and dreams analysis, it's really important to think about the current limitations. And just for the example I was giving around plastic reduction, it can be internal manufacturing capabilities, the consumers' insights tell you that they would like to have pumps and big bottles and secondary and tertiary packaging. All these elements are super relevant. And then you go into the workaround space. You sit together with your team and you enter ideas how you could get the workaround. Afterwards, you identify the biggest needs in that context. And all that done is in a team effort, and it's very important to understand everybody who is invited to the platform can participate. It's meant for everybody to participate, either building on ideas to make them stronger or building on insights to make them more relevant and easier understood, but also rate and propose and bring in other experts, because this is a living tool. I mean, we are all focused to come at the end to a solution that is driving substantial impact in the market for the customer, for the company. And then you see the ideas the customer is presenting. So you really go to the customer, you go to the market. It's super important at this stage to have this insight. And Axel just alluded to the point, 10 out of 1,000 have dreams. They want to see the product different. And I can tell you, me personally, being the empowerment of innovation at home as well, I tell my children, don't take a broken process as a given. Take a look at it, how it would work best for you. And I think that's how we have to look at the world, to identify the problems and the opportunities at the same time. So being close to the customer, being close to the market. And as you have these, you start to understand what is the impossibilities. And you go through the team approach and you fill that in. And wherever you go, and you will see that later on, you are supported by an AI. The AI will accelerate your thinking process, your insights, while you're sitting together as a team by yourself, filling in things. And then, of course, at a given moment in time, you have to get, when it comes to the dreams analysis, what is the impact on your company? What changes do I have to make? What data do I have? How do I manage cost? How do I keep product available? Because, I mean, these are real life problems if the supply chain is broken, if it's getting too complex. But at the same time, what are the advantages? And then you get into the area where you see the opportunity value, where you start defining the market size. And of course, you permanently check with your team how you're doing in the process. How was the external world included? Like as you create ideas, solution spaces, what are the suppliers telling you, the external manufacturers, the customer support team? So it's a multi-functional team approach to get to this point. And then as you move forward and have that episode concluded, you will get to the tracking of the process. And I think we were promising you to make it predictable and stay on track all the time. So you see how members were participating, you see how stakeholders were engaged, how we were doing with the time requirements and the budgets you had allocated earlier on. As part of the team building, we support you identifying the team capabilities to really have the strongest, diverse team looking into these challenges. And I think it will be completely off your mind at a given moment in time that all this is available. When you think about how much time today you spend on reporting, this piece is taken care of for you. And then I think this is one of the cores where we get to this merge of people, capabilities, technology, AI, and neuro-ideation. And it's again, you recognize it, the canvas with the 12 steps guiding you through the neuro-ideation part. We're starting with the problem analysis. We go through the first principles thinking. And just in case there are things you don't know, every of these little fields has an explanation. So when we talk about first principles thinking, break the problem into as many as possible parts and break it down into parts of problem until it can't be broken down further. So one card for each basic challenge. And I'm not sure, Axel, your camera is off, but otherwise I give a little bit more insights on that piece. Here's Axel is back. Because I think this is one of your preferred topics to talk about, the first principle thinking, getting to the core of the problem and finding solutions, please.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, I mean, it is actually an older concept, and it is not from us, but there has been an interesting evolution for how to use it. And so, for instance, one example was, I was really intrigued by geothermal energy for a long time, goes way back. I mean, probably I was maybe 30 or something, where I realized that we're sitting on this enormous fusion reactor called Earth, but we don't get this energy out of Earth to use it. Now I learned that there is a situation in Russia, and they drilled a hole 12 kilometers deep, and this hole was the deepest ever drilled. But in order to get to 500 degrees C, we need to get down at least 23, 24 kilometers. But there's physical limitation to get deeper. And so one would say, okay, there's a reason for it, so you can deeper. So geothermal energy is not like a nuclear power plant, which actually generates 500 degrees C to heat up water and steam. And I was a little bit frustrated, and so I was thinking all kinds of versions of making the drill better going, into the earth. And it was actually BlueCallom that I tested it again. And in first principle thinking, you get to the questions, and the questions become a tree. What are the problems? And so, vertical boring is not possible beyond 12 kilometers. So what is the thinking then? If that's the problem, how can we split it up? Well, is it vertical boring? How about diagonal? It's longer, the hole is longer. But I was living in Lucerne. I saw the cable car going up and down actually a cogwheel train up to Mount Mount Pilatus. And that was about 49 degrees or something like that. It was really steep, and there were tunnels. And I thought, okay, if we can go this direction through tunnels, we could go this direction through tunnels. And so the first principle thinking helped me think entirely differently. And just this tiny little thing, instead of this way, go this way, made a complete, it was like a Stargate to go through in a different world. And so this was one example. There's other examples. Elon Musk talked about first principle thinking, how he built his rockets and so on. But that's one of the things where the system actually helps you rethink things where you got stuck like me over years and years and years.
Perfect. Thank you, Axel. And actually, when we were doing this exercise here on the plastic piece, we had a similar moment of truth when we were finding out in the column burst piece, when all things came together, when you were thinking where you want to be 25, 30, 50 years from now. The problem to reduce plastic, you could have looked at small sizing, thinner bottles, different materials. But the more you were thinking about it, you come to the point like, actually, no plastic is the best solution. And how do you transport something without plastic? You might have to find a solution how you do the mixing at home. And in that way, we were seeing as a solution space for reducing plastic waste, completely different from what normally you would have been looking at with all the changes to the existing setting, starting from a square one, completely new, different ideas. And of course, that brings new challenges, like the geothermal example. There will be challenges. It's not like, that's easily done and it's done tomorrow. But it exactly allows you to get to these solutions that were completely not in the scope before. And Axel, another example you would like to give to the column burst piece, or?
I would just like to mention that the mechanism really is that if we are professionals, we think about things and we immediately, because of our intelligence, and this is where, funny enough, intelligence may actually be a stumble stone for innovators, because we think, okay, but this would cost so much. This is ridiculous. And in this very moment, we don't continue that thought. Or we need resources. We need amazing people from all over the world. That's not possible. So therefore, we don't think this process further. And this would take probably 10 years. So, come on, this doesn't make sense. And all these limitations come in because our intelligence model in the brain will look at all these variations and would immediately say no. And we have to overcome that no. And that is actually difficult because we look like idiots. We say, well, it doesn't matter. We have, let's assume we have $1 trillion and we have 1 million people and we have 100 years time for that. Well, people will say, come on, give me a break. Be serious, right? I mean, you're an intelligent adult. This is not a concept. Well, yes, it is. And there's one reason. If you remove all the limits in your thinking and be the idiot, the crazy guys, ridiculously thinking through stuff that is impossible, you come to one point on this axis of thinking. You come to the point where it becomes truly impossible. And if you go even further, you know, okay, this stuff, there's physical limits. We have boundaries in our world. You know, we say oftentimes, you know, if I take this mouse and I want to make it hover in the air, this is impossible. But we did this so many times thinking about that we actually started to overcome the gravity problem. And so we could not overcome it if we would stop that because it's impossible. Because everybody could solve their problem theoretically, but they cannot overcome their intellectual problem that it is impossible because it was already impossible. And that's what the column burst actually does, is it tries to alleviate all the risk and all the problems and opens your mind. And this is why also it's the sixth element in this entire episode. If you work continuously day in and day out on solving a problem until you can't, and then find new ways to continue, it opens your mind more and more and more. And after about 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you come to a position that you accept everything, including every impossibility. And this is the point where your mind opens up completely, and you come to complete new solutions that you could not believe yourself. And I have done this so many times that I thought, okay, what is it, and what blocks my brain? And somebody else told me, you know, I mean, you're probably an ordinary intelligent person, but that already is the blocker. And if you're very intelligent, then it's even worse. But okay, that's a thing that we need to put in.
And just as you were speaking about it, I remember an example I have heard recently where exactly that happened, and where I wouldn't call it intelligence, but business or engineering skills were in the way of finding the solution. And it has to do with Rolls-Royce. The admin of the head of the mining business was participating in an ideation contest of Rolls-Royce turbines. And she had seen the movie on the Bird on the Wire before, and she saw something where she thought, so it's easy to extend the life before maintenance for turbine. You just have to put something in the turbine that cleans it while it flies. And she was entering this idea in the system. And of course, you can imagine an engineer who creates turbines. If he sees an idea that you put something in his precious turbine for cleaning, he sees all the reasons why this is going to interfere with the turbine, causes damage all over the place, and the plane comes down, or the maintenance is not needed anymore because the turbine is broke. So she entered the idea. It came back, thank you for participation, but really that doesn't work. Then he was disappointed, and she just came across her boss and told him. And he said, what are these guys from the turbine business telling me here? We are in the mining. We permanently have dirt in our mining drilling heads. We have to clean out to move forward. And just talking, thinking differently, and bringing these together, they found a solution which extended the service intervals afterwards by 25% for the Rolls-Royce turbines, which you can imagine is a huge benefit for airlines. It's a huge cost factor. And that's how you over-design sometimes with your thinking certain solution spaces while you're not breaking out into the complete open space. So just one of these anecdotes where you really see it's happening, it's working. But the difference here with our process is we are guiding you to that. You cannot always hope for somebody in the company to have the lucky shot. It has to be a process for innovation that is repeatable and predictable. So, and with that, just a quick deep dive how it looks behind the major cards here. So every time you enter anything, and this is here the idea confluence research, you will enter the idea, the AI is generating a little picture to make it more visible, more understandable. And then you see here on the bottom all the opportunities for other people to co-invent, to co-add to the quality of the ideation process by adding pictures, by making comments, by rating, and so on and so forth. So again, the example also here in the neuro-ideation space, you can participate as a team on every single aspect of the process. And with that, I think, Axel, we are close to the hour. Please.
Okay, let me just take over and share my screen. I hope this works equally well. Looks like. So yeah, maybe there's one more word to say about AI. I mean, you have seen it, you have read it. So we're using GPT as one of the 3 AI models, and also in these little boxes, every question and every idea and every feedback and every decision you make and every research you're doing is actually done one way or the other through those AI systems or modules, particularly through the large language model from Open.AI. And so the research actually collapses down immediately in time. Okay, so to summarize, I mean, I think we can say that innovation is the most complex business task in a corporate because of the building of a new company actually within an existing one. But we would also probably not say that a startup is the most complex thing we do. And so it's all a question of perspective. So within a corporation, when you think of a corporation with 100,000 employees or even just 1,000, doesn't matter. The building of the product, of the ideas, of the research, of go-to-market, of financing, of scaling, of building, producing, and then ramping up and so on. You basically do in this innovation center over time everything that is done in the entire organization. And that for many people is far too complex to think about. So therefore, we love to have this dialogue or this example of using it as a unicorn internally. So it seems to be, many people have done it, and so that's good. And part of this is understanding the strategic corporate directions, the needs, and the constraints. So when you start in using BlueCallom Lite, for instance, give it some thoughts, because even though you jump on it and play with it, without any thoughts around what is it what you want to do, then you would probably fail. It would be boring. You see all the fields, you think, okay, this is too much to enter. This is almost like a CRM system. No, this is not interesting. But please understand, like Christian said, I mean, you do it with your team. You do it with your team. Your team, it isn't you. I mean, if you explore BlueCallom, do it with your team, not yourself. This is not a solo operation. And the team works with you, and then you basically just capture the ideas in the system. This is all you do. You capture research that you did in the system. You don't analyze it. I mean, you think about it, obviously, but you don't need to do any administrative work. And so without the team, this is boring. With the team, you will slowly but carefully explore the power of the system. And so the research needs and dreams of your customers is a key part of it, because it leads you to the biggest problems they have, and to solve them if nobody else has done is at the end the disruptive solution, because nobody else has done solving that problem, that will make a big difference to your organization. And then the idea to break through is the centerpiece of innovation. But, and this but, actually, I need to write it in bold and in capital letters. The execution of what the idea is drives the success. So I repeat, the idea is this one thing, this boom, it's the egg, but then everything else is the chicken. And if you need to get it to market, which you do, so this is part of the execution. Getting the money for that is part of the execution. Then convincing customers is part of the execution. Then growing the acceptance of the problem of the product in the market is part of the execution. Going global is part of the execution. So innovation is not just the invention part or the idea part. I mean, it's critical and it's important. But you take this into the market, and if you will see, I mean, we say in 8 weeks you get to a breakthrough innovation, which you will if you follow sort of the mechanism. But that is only the idea and the concept, and it's probably validated. But everything else, that is basically also part of innovations. This is why the snake, the whole process that you saw earlier is so long. It's not just the 2 episodes; it's 11, and therefore, when you start working and hacking up some problem into the box of BlueCallom.ai or BlueCallom.com, doesn't matter. Think about what is the problem that you're solving, and then also give it a thought. Who should play with you? And if you cannot do this internally because of time or so, you'll probably find some people say, okay, we do this after hours. Let's do this after 5 o'clock or whatever you want, and start experimenting it. And I was deeply impressed when Christian came back the other day and said, I tried it out, it took me 1.5 hours. I completed most of the tasks. And that gave me also the confidence to say, okay, I mean, Christian is a chemist coming from a pharmaceutical company. So you don't need to be an AI expert, or you don't need to be an IT expert at all. So the system is built in a way that it should work. I have to say should all along. And so the takeaway for you, I think, is that we give you an idea how AI also changes the innovation landscape, because everything behind the software is AI. So it's AI that makes the difference, and we have to thank basically all the AI guys, whether it was the guys from what was it, AlphaGo Zero, who did the game stuff, and obviously Open.AI and everybody that builds on Open.AI and competes with OpenAI, who made this happen. And so I hope you'll get a clear picture of what it takes to set up your first innovation journey. And we call it a journey because it is a journey. It's not just a project that goes, 4 weeks. I mean, the initial steps, like I said, in an extreme case, and this is about Christian's extreme mind, I believe, is 1.5 hours or a weekend. You probably will take a little bit more, but that's fine. You will set up the system very, very quickly, invite your friends, and all we're asking, they should have the same email address, because we want to do this within a company environment. And then you identify the needs and dreams of the target audience by simply talking to them. I mean, this is, business is done under people and not machines. And you also learn the power of neuro-ideation. There will be videos that will probably come in the next couple of days where we help going through these processes. And then finally, you hopefully realize how easy it is to go from really zero to breakthrough in 8 weeks. And we would love to help you. If you get stuck, you'll find the phone number pretty much anywhere in the application, an email, support@BlueCallom.com, and we will help you as good as we can, because we want you to make successful. And you look at BlueCallom's about, you'll find our mission, or basically our mantra is nobody will fail innovating when using BlueCallom. So we have not the mantra, we want to build the best product. It will probably be the best product in order to get there, but we have a very specific mantra. We will have nobody failing to innovate when using BlueCallom. That's the focus. And so you should not fail. And if you seem to fail, and this is thanks to the timeline of this entire project or journey, we have enough time to help you get going. All right, and with that, I think we can switch to Q&A.
There's a question from Douglas here on the chat. I saw a message from Tanya. She got other messages as well already. So the dashboard and the KPI report are the outcomes to impress my boss with. I mean, I would say the work you're doing on the platform in the 2 episodes and the result you are seeing from that will be the most impressive piece, because you are understanding customer needs and you're providing a solution process. But of course, for your boss, it's equally interesting to see, like, okay, that's the resources that went into there, that's how it's documented, and it didn't cost you any extra time. I think, Axel, you would agree.
I do, yeah. And the report is probably one thing. The KPIs is another thing. But I believe actually what was meant on the website when we put up impress your boss is to help the boss, and I think it's important to help the boss tell them, okay, we did this breakthrough innovation. We started by actually involving the market. We used the methodology, and this was the method we were using. It is repeatable because we can do this all day long. And here is some KPIs that we have seen so far already. And here's a report that comes from the system, which is helpful. But I think for top guys, I mean, like CEOs, they want to understand: is this repeatable? Is this a one-stop shop? Is this a moonshot project? Is this because of Douglas is a smart man and he can do this, but the rest of the team would be neither trained, or maybe it's not even possible to do that or able to do that. It's repeatable, it's manageable. And so showing that chain, and again, thanks for the question. That is what typically impresses a boss, because they would say, okay, if this is repeatable, if this is predictable, meaning it's not accidental, our brain doesn't do anything accidental. I mean, it's way too complex and way too energy consuming to do anything accidental. Then we could do actually one innovation after the other, and we could look for problems, and we would solve this with this model. That is cool, and then he would be impressed up with it. Okay.
Sorry, Tanya, I didn't want to jump in, but I'm impulsive at times. Sorry.
Like, it feels like we hit the spot with today's topic, since my Q&A box is full. I believe we received more than 10 questions from our audience. So yeah, we can just start with the first question. So Christian, Axel, listen carefully. We are using stage gate as innovation method. Would we need to change that?
Okay, maybe I chime in because I have answered that question many times. When you look into stage gates, you have, and probably you worked with this argument already, you have stages and they're gated. That's where the name comes from. And gated means you complete one stage, then you go to the next, and then you go to the next, and this is the so-called linear process. But like I said earlier, innovation is not linear. You need to jump back and forth between the various sort of stages, or as we call it, episodes. So theoretically, the episodes is a linear process, and we could put gates in between. Then it would be, yes, it would be the same. But we did this for purpose not. And so it would be recommended that you consider changing it, because there is a reason why stage gate innovation processes have, at least to our knowledge, never created a breakthrough innovation. It's very good for incremental innovation. Honestly, I don't like that term, because incremental innovation is improvement, and we do improve since we exist as humans. I mean, we improved the sphere 200,000 years ago, and we improved, the steam engine since we have it in the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. Every car is improved every day, and comes out every year or every other year. This is all, and this probably works with stage gate. But a breakthrough innovation that is a very big and bold change, and it encompasses everything else that is probably not involved in an improvement. That is very, very difficult to do with a staged and a gated process. So yes, you will probably consider changing it.
Okay, I believe this answers this is the answer to the question people ask. So let's just move forward. The next question is like, people want to know, is there any detailed documentation about the AI functionality? Or is just anything can be found online on the website, or just Google it? How can we help with that?
That's an interesting question. So the answer is sort of yes and sort of no. I mean, there is a lot. Also, like Christian talked about the framework. There's a lot of conceptual parts in the framework. There's something on the website. There is inside the application is a lot of knowledge. But honestly, and therefore I like the question, we don't have a real quote unquote book about AI in the context of innovation, at least not yet. And the functionality of AI is also so vast. I mean, I just have to say that if you follow the AI trends, you may have heard that also OpenAI discovered that ChatGPT can hallucinate, meaning can come up with things that are actually dreamed up. Now, the question is, how is this even possible? Because hallucination and dreaming things up seem to be human capabilities, but it can because of the thing that I call error tolerance. So in order to come up with all that results that systems like OpenAI actually come up with, needs to allow a certain error tolerance or failure tolerance that we come up with that. Because otherwise it would be a very digital 0-1 everything checked answer that would probably take 100 years. Now we can say, yeah, well, but now we have quantum computing, so it would probably take only minutes, but it would still not have the quality that leaves things open for follow-on questions. My entire answer would probably take another webinar. But so the final answer on the question is no, we don't have a complete set of all the AI functions, and I'm not even sure whether we ever will, simply because of its vastness. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything on that or?
Complete.
Oh, okay.
Okay, then let's keep going. Oh, this is the interesting question. Our CEO is not really keen on innovation. What would be the best way to still get it done? Is the answer to motivate the CEO to change his mind? Or, this is my question now, or should we just change the boss?
Question?
As you're here, the CEO of the company, I'm not going to give any advice how to change the boss. No, kidding. I think a CEO does not recognize the importance to prepare his or her business for the future is in a very challenging position. Of course, there are times where companies have to put their heads together and solve a certain crisis, and that's when the focus is maybe on the execution of that. However, there's always room for innovation, and there always will be. And I think every CEO will recognize that if there are people with capabilities and the willingness to go the extra mile for the company to put in their very best, their thinking, their time, they would be very ill-advised not to allow and make that happen. And I can give an example from my past experience. It was a big company, and at times you had to develop innovation approaches underneath the radar. You really had to understand first what is the strategy of the company, and that's sometimes not so easy in big companies, I have to tell. what are we directed to? What do we want to achieve? And with these insights, you then can validate if where you are directing your innovation thoughts to are the correct or maybe in conflict with a strategy. And my advice would be always look for the contact with the CEO. Don't be shy. I think we had an example also discussed, a customer of ours. You have to be bold to do innovation. You have to prepare your pitch. You have to prepare your insights. And then you have to go all the way up and explain why it's relevant for the company. I don't know, Axel, you have probably been many times in a situation like this.
Yeah. I mean, I have seen many of the situations. I myself actually haven't been in that situation myself, but this has to do with most of my life was actually running my own innovative company. But I can totally follow and agree to what you said. I mean, the one thing I just may add to it. I mean, if the CEO isn't interested in innovation, it would also be important to find out why. I mean, there may be situations where they say, no, we have no budget for that because we just did X, Y, Z, and there is simply no money, and we are constrained on cash. Therefore, sorry, no. Then it would actually make no sense to go against that no, because there would be no budget anyway. Now you can say, well, I do it under the radar because I want to. I mean, I don't want to tell you to leave, but then the better idea might even start your own thing. And I mean, that is the only thing where I can have my own experience. I told my boss back then, you know, we have to change distribution and we need to do that. And he was laughing at me and said, actually, distribution is a 5,000-year-old business. You cannot change this. Nobody can change this. And I mean, for me, it was a bummer. But I realized, well, maybe he was right. And, you know, it was a 3-month or 6-month setback. And then I tried anyway. Today, it's a $65 billion enterprise, which is the largest distributor actually in the world for the tech industry. So that is certainly an option. But it would be important for you to understand why is there no interest. I mean, similar to what Christian said, you know, find out what's going on there, because if there's a reason for no, I mean, there would be no reason to actually still want to innovate. I mean, that would be probably a little bit foolish.
So no changing the boss, right? Let's move forward. The next question is regarding the framework. Our participant wants to know, isn't a 100-page framework a bit too much overhead for creating an idea and get it to market? So this is like more admin work.
Yeah, I give you some input from a user perspective. I wasn't working in big details on the framework when it was thought through and developed. For me, I can adhere with the thinking, wow, a 100-page document, probably very dense, a lot of content. But as I was starting to play around with the tool, and I think everybody here on the call is in the mindset, and I can see from other questions that people are already experimenting with the tool. It's super intuitive, and you don't need to fully understand every line and page on the framework. However, as you are building a process that is there for being repeated, and sometimes we're talking in the company about people plundering around when innovation comes on the table and everybody starts looking like, yeah, we had a piece here, we had a piece there. This is really like a super detailed, to the point document that helps you to make it repeatable in the first place. So for me, that's the key value. The second piece is it's really, if there's something open and there's no short explainer or no video connected to the tool, it gives you reference. You can use it as a dictionary where you can build from. And Axel for sure has more insights as you were from day one developing it.
Yeah, I think the heritage of the framework is probably also a good part of the answer. it was actually one of our customers who said, whenever I call you or I talk to you and have a question, you have a marvelous answer. I mean, where is this all documented? And I had to say, it's actually in my head and the head of the team, but we don't have that. And he said, no, you should, because this is the biggest value for us, is knowing all the details, because it explains to me, or you explain to me, why we haven't gotten any breakthrough yet, why we spend, this was another customer, why we spend 100 million every year in innovation with zero innovation outcome. We did great improvements, but we never got to a real innovation. And after 7 years, maybe after 700 million, we stopped the program. But now with that document, this enlightens me completely. And so it may be not for everybody, and it's certainly not written for that, but it's written for people who would want to understand, why is it that we can't build a breakthrough innovation that changes a situation so completely that we become a market leader by building the solution. That's sort of the reason for that. Yeah.
Okay. The next question is quite similar to the previous one. So Jan said, it looks like a lots of tasks, cards to fill up, and admin to do. How to avoid all this and increase time for creativity? I think that's a very good question.
Yeah, I believe Christian actually alluded to in the presentation, and maybe there needs to be one more angle to it. So the software is a tool. It's like a screwdriver. It's not meant to be, you do everything with a screwdriver. It helps you get the screws in. And the platform, the BlueCallom system, helps you get the ideas somewhere and the research and everything into one place. Something that you created, literally, somehow through your work, mostly through the teamwork, but sometimes through research that you did at night, or sometimes you were on the shower, had a new idea, and you put it in right away from home because you can. It's just the browser instead of going to the office and completing it. And so the tasks that we were doing are sort of the tasks that we found in every single successful company, including all our own, and talking to friends who ran large companies or started from scratch and built large companies. And that's the sort of the summary of all these activities. There are actually people who say, well, we're doing way more than that, so can we add something to it? And the answer was, well, we probably will be able to allow adding sort of tasks to it. But the complexity here is that it's very interconnected with the KPI framework, with the AI analysis, with the predictive outcome, so to speak. What is it? So we will definitely work on it, and we will make it happen, but that's not available right now. So, but just to tell you the other extreme, where people do so much more little things. By the way, we talked to them what all these tasks are, and we found things that was like, why do you do it? Well, because this is our framework. This is our list of tasks. So what would happen if you take out this one or that one? And they said, I don't know. The boss wants it. And so coming to a point where some of these things were not necessary, and we did the same thing with ours. It was actually 14 episodes at the very beginning, and then we had more than 20 tasks each episode, and we tried to reduce it as good as we can, because administration work is, this is just load, and it should be done by the AI. So this is where we can help with the answer.
Good.
There are more questions coming in as we speak, so I think also in the interest of time, we have to be careful. We can answer one more, and we take the questions and we answer the people in more detail?
Yeah, you're right. I just wanted to suggest that. So one more question from the audience, and the rest will have to be mentioned in the personal email. So listen, guys, how does BlueCallom AI compare to other innovation software? Are there any similarities, differences?
Yeah.
We want to hear all the details.
Okay, Christian, do you want to? I mean, you have probably more.
For me, the easy answer is it doesn't compare because it's outstanding different. And I mean, I'm saying this really from the background, having been on the other side of the table, looking at different tools, testing different processes to create many ideas, lacking any insights on the quality of the idea. BlueCallom AI is focused to deliver the product at the end. I mean, it's nearly like a script to open your own company and get it executed to the end. The benefit doing this is in a company environment, there might be funding already available with the CEO being in the right mindset to make it much easier, and it saves you the venture capital and equity and other sourcing needs, and you can focus on the execution of the idea. But also a question in the chat is here, the quality and the quantity. I mean, the quantity doesn't give you any merit. I have been working with platforms which created thousands of ideas where you lost track what they are focusing on. Are they connected to strategy? And I think all these things, the BlueCallom AI is directing you directly from the beginning, that at the end, many good ideas will lead to a solution that serves the purpose of improving the customer's life, being profitable and being outstanding as a competitor in the market. But maybe Axel, you have an additional view on that.
Not really. No, I think you nailed it.
Okay. Then it's good.
All right.
Just one more last question. I have to ask this. I think it's very important, but please give us a short answer. You mentioned the importance of the team. Are there any specific skills you would like to highlight? So what the people have to have in order to, make the innovation live, you know?
It's a very short answer. They don't need skills at all. Shock, I know, but that's the short answer. And they need talents. And we have these 8 C's, 8 traits, abilities, talents, cognitive abilities. You find it on the website, on the framework, and it shows exactly what the need is. So that was a short answer.
Christian, would you like to add something to that?
I mean, for me, the only addition is really the purpose piece, that you want to make a difference, that you make a change, and you don't take what other people call a given as a given. I mean, being willing to make a difference. And with that, I think everybody is a super valuable team member.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And like we mentioned before, all the other answers will be answered via email. We have all your information needed, so no worries. Yep, thank you again for being with us today. Axel, Christian, would you like to add something before we finish?
Enjoy using the tool and let us know how you experience it. Axel?
Yeah, absolutely. Go to BlueCallom.ai or BlueCallom.com. Put in what's the problem you want to solve, and then sign up for it. It's free. And you can go through the first 2 episodes, and if you want to really execute, then you upgrade to the full thing. And but please, you know, we have a support team, and we want you to be successful. So it's not just trying something out. You can be successful with it. You would come into our Hall of Fame. And with that, from my side, thanks so much. Particularly, I think there's a couple people from Vietnam here, and thanks so much for coming. Yeah.
As well, thank you for being with us today. Like I mentioned at the beginning, we will share the recording so you can see some of the people who weren't here until the end, so you can see the whole session. Questions will be answered. Yeah, thank you so much, and I hope to see you all online on the other BlueCallom event. Have a nice day, and greetings from Switzerland. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.